Hey guys, I hope that you're all doing well through the quarantine or lockdown, depending on where you are. Now, I've been working on a few personal projects myself, and one of them is, of course, the Dinos Dragons channel. And I'm glad to say I've got some pretty cool stuff lined up to show you in the weeks to come. So, on with this video. Now, today I want to introduce you to a line of dragons that are surprisingly close to home. And by that I mean Safari Ltd. Now, Safari of course gives us the wild Safari dinosaur collection. And among them, recent gems have included the feathered T-Rex, the Triceratops, the Sauropelta, and the awesome Camarasaurus. And you know how detailed and wonderfully sculpted those are. Now, I've known that Safari had some dragons, but I didn't think too seriously about them before. Well, I recently decided to visit the website, and to my amazement, it seems that they've added many really interesting looking dragons. And I thought, why not give them a try? So I ordered a few, and today we'll look at one of them. Now, this is the Safari Ltd Forest Dragon. Now, this is a true dragon, although the wings are rather too small and the wing arms too puny to really be good for any powerful fight. Now, this might be an adaptation to living in a densely packed forest where I think too big wings might hinder rather than help with the hunting process. And actually, if you look at depictions of dragons from the medieval period, now you see that their wings are rather small and without much thought to practical power. And in fact, you can see that the head here is rather traditional. And you'll see very similar looking heads in all kinds of prints of medieval dragon art. And I actually quite like this traditional vibe. Now, the most striking thing about this dragon is, of course, the metallic paint that they've used throughout the body of the animal. Now, in all my other dragons, including the McFarlane ones, I don't recall any with metallic paint, which in hindsight is a little bit unusual because if you consider that in Dungeons and Dragons, the metallic dragons, the gold, the silver, the bronze, and so on are really big. And in fact, the only one I can recall from McFarlane is the King Draco figure, which had some nice highlights in gold, as of course befits a king. And yet you can see how the entire dragon here is covered in this nice metallic green. And it's really quite beautiful. And of course, very interesting side effect of having metallic paint is that it lends a lot more interest in terms of lighting. Now, if you look at the figure itself, you'll see that unlike some of the other dragons I've reviewed here, there aren't really that many shades and fades, and in fact it's just a one green color. And because the metallic paint lends an iridescence to the dragon, depending on how you turn him, the highlights just really catch in different places. And you just really might imagine how the sunlight shining through the forest canopy are reflecting off the scales, and this really helps you get a lot more variation than you'd expect. Now, being metallic green, or in fact I guess any metallic color, it really brings out the wonderful detail in this dragon, as you can see. Now, these are the general scales, which have a very chevron-like appearance here, but even down here where the scales are of a different variety down the legs, you'll see that this metallic paint really does serve to bring out all the minute detail you might not otherwise see. And even these wing fingers here, even though they're not really very detailed in terms of sculpting, in fact I would say they look rather plain, simply because you've got metallic paint on it, the appearance is really elevated. Just like the way it just catches the light, depending on how you turn it. Now, a flip side to this is that the non-metallic parts tend to suffer if the paintwork is plain or bad or plain bad. Now, for example, if you look at this rather interesting feature, which is a mane that runs all the way from the top of the head down the back all the way to the tail, you'll see that there's actually nothing to write home about. You know, it's just the one color, and you also see that here, which is an interesting choice to make actually. There's this fur down here, down the chest, and then also on the triceps area. Again, I think that if it was better painted, you know, with maybe more dry brushing, more fades, then this feature will actually look better. But because it looks so plain, especially compared to the metal, it looks really lackluster. The underside, over here, again, you'll see that there's actually very nice detail. Look at these overlapping plates protecting the undersides of the dragon. But once again, let down because of a very rudimentary paintwork. And that really suffers, especially when you contrast that to the very nice metallic paint around it. Now, other than that, the eyes are actually quite nicely painted. Focus, please. Yep, you can see that the eyes are very nicely painted with a nice gleaming gold here and on the other side. And surprisingly, these two horns also are quite well painted. You can see the detail brought out. You really do need to have nice paintwork to bring out the detail of your sculpt. Yeah, that's a better angle to see. It's a bit hard to focus, but yeah, here you can see that they're actually very nice ridges. Maybe you'll see them better in the photographs afterwards, but there's actually very nice detail on the horn here, and some effort has been made to add a bit of dry brushing, so you have a fade of some sort on the horns, and I just wish that they'd done that for the rest of the unmetallic parts of the animal. Now, all in all, a very nice dragon. Now, who is this for? Well, I'd say that it's great for the beginning collector who simply loves dragons. Now, certainly, if you cut your teeth on the medieval or traditional fantasy literature, you'll find that this is a bit of a retro delight compared to some of the more outlandish designs that you'll see, for example, in the McFarlane series. It's also for someone who can't easily find or purchase the McFarlane dragons, or even the more expensive Monster Hunter dragons. Now, while affordable, it's still well sculpted, though of course I would say not to the same exacting standards as their wild Safari line of dinosaurs. Hopefully they'll get there. And the metallic paint just gives you a very nice depth of color. And all of that just elevates this from being a child's toy to something that is more shelf worthy. So, alright, that's it from me for now. I hope you guys are staying safe and sane through this difficult time, and I wish you all the best of health and happiness. I will see you again soon.